everyone, I hope you all are doing good. Now as we know कि हमने बहुत सारे वीडियोस ऑलरेडी कवर कर लिए हैं इंग्लिश से रिलेटेड एंड हमने बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक वीडियोस भी कवर कर लिए हैं. Now there was one request which most of the students were asking me to cover. They were must be true and could be true kind of questions. मैम कुछ ना क्वेश्चंस आते हैं जहाँ पे must be true लिखा होता है और could be true लिखा होता है, राइट? तो हम वो सॉल्व नहीं कर पाते. So for those who are not able to solve those questions, today's video will be really helpful because I'll be covering these questions for you, right? अब सबसे पहले तो must be true क्या होता है और could be true क्या होता है. Now primarily it is a question of inferences, right? Now inferences is that part of English जो overlapping है English में और logical reasoning में, verbal reasoning में, right? इसलिए हमें ध्यान में रखना है कि अगर हम लोग इस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करें तो हमें इन्फ्रेंसेस पहले से आते हो, राइट? सो आई वांट यू गाइस टू ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टैंड इन्फ्रेंसेस एंड देन सी अ वीडियो ऑन इन्फ्रेंसेस एंड देन कम टू मस्ट बी ट्रू एंड कुड बी ट्रू काइंड ऑफ इन्फ्रेंसेस. तो मस्ट बी ट्रू क्या है एंड कुड बी ट्रू. हमारे पास ये दो क्वेश्चन टाइप है, राइट? दीज आर क्वेश्चन टाइप्स, right? And we have to find out the answers for them. So most of the times what happens is it becomes really difficult for us to understand कि must be true में क्या fall करता है और could be true में क्या fall करता है, right? Now starting with what are must be true kind of questions. So must be true का मतलब होता है a statement that must logically follow from the passage, that is it cannot be false if the given statement is true, right? तो ये वो statement होती है जो हमेशा ही true होनी चाहिए if the premise which is given to us, right, that is true, right? Now logic कहता है that it has to be true given the facts, right? Here are the keywords for you. Which of the following can be most definitely inferred, right? Then necessarily follows from the passage. Then if the statement above are true, which of the following must also be true? Then which of the following conclusions is logically entailed by the passage? जहां पे भी ये क्वेश्चन दिख जाए वहां पे आपको समझना होगा that it is a must be true kind of a question, right? Now the strategy here is that you have to find out the statement those are 100% true. ठीक है, वो स्टेटमेंट ढूंढो जो 100% ट्रू है. ठीक है, कहीं पे भी आपको लग रहा है that this statement may or may not be, तो वो must be true की कैटेगरी में फॉल नहीं करेगी. Secondly, check with the options that cannot possibly be false, and lastly, eliminate anything that adds, assumes or speculates beyond the given facts. कुछ भी जो facts जो दिए हुए हैं उससे ज्यादा assume कर रहा है, उससे ज्यादा कुछ भी हमें speculation मिल रहा है या उससे ज्यादा कुछ भी add on हो रहा है, तो that will be eliminated clearly, right? Now here is a quick example for you. All advocates are lawyers, some lawyers are teachers, right? All advocates are lawyers, right? तो ये lawyers बड़ी सी कैटेगरी, बीच में आ गए हमारे advocates. ये lawyers है, ये advocates है, right? Some lawyers are also teachers. Some lawyers are teachers, right? Some lawyers are teachers. Now I hope ये statement हमें clear है. अब question है which of the following must be true. अब must be true क्या होता है? जो 100% सही होगी. Now some advocates are teachers. ठीक है, some advocates are teacher. ये हो भी सकता है, हो नहीं भी सकता है, तो वहां पे एक possibility clause आ गया, तो ये 100% true नहीं है. Second, all lawyers are advocates. अब ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता ना कि ये इसके अंडर आ जाए, hence this does not hold true. Then some lawyers are not advocates. अब some lawyers are not advocates. ये भी हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता, hence we simply eliminated. Then all advocates are lawyers. ठीक है, अब हमें एक चीज यहां से समझ आ रही है, all advocates are lawyers. ठीक है, lawyers के अंडर ही है, तो this is something which is 100% true. Hence the answer is D. I hope it is clear. तो must be true में वो फॉल करता है जहां पे भी कोई क्वेश्चन मार्क ना हो, कोई भी पॉसिबिलिटी ना हो, राइट? राइट, आई होप दैट इज क्लियर. नाउ could be true type of inferences. could be true का क्या मतलब है और कहाँ पे could be true type of questions आते हैं? So a statement that can possibly be true, right, given the information, it does not contradict the passage, though it may not be guaranteed as well, right? So this is something we need to understand. So it falls in line with the passage, it is not against the passage, but on the other hand, it does contain some sort of confusion, some sort of question mark in it, right? So the logic here says that the keywords here are which of the following is most likely to be true. Secondly, which of the following statement is consistent with the passage, which of the following could be inferred, and which of these might be true if the above statements are correct. So might be true, could be inferred, could be, right, is consistent with, and most likely to be true. ये सारे कहाँ आ जाएंगे हमारे could be true kind of questions में. अब इसको solve करना है तो कैसे करना है? See, eliminate anything which is contradicted by the passage. Contradictory मतलब opposite. क्योंकि वो तो कभी भी हम लोग वो कभी भी possibility में convert नहीं होंगे. Then, accept anything that fits or is consistent with the given facts. Then, you do not need proof, just possibility and consistency. That is what you need to remember, right? Now, here is an example. All advocates are lawyers, some lawyers are teachers. Now, some advocates are teachers. ये हो भी सकता है, हो नहीं भी सकता है. Hence, the answer is A, because there it is possible that some advocates are teachers, but it is not certain at all. I hope that is clear. This is how we solve the questions related to could be true. Now, here is a difference table and we need to understand this. See, the logic behind must be true kind of questions is that they necessarily follow from the passage, right? And could be true kind of options, they are possibly true. Then contradictions, they cannot be false and these cannot contradict. Then the must be true questions, they depend 100% on the passage, and the could be true kind of questions, they are 100% consistent with the passage. That is, they go in line with the passage, but the probability of them being true is there and it might not be there too, right? Necessarily follow, must be true, could, might and possibly be true are the keywords here. Then strategy says to eliminate uncertainty and to eliminate contradictions is what we need to do in must be true and could be true kind of questions. All cats are animals, must be true. So must be true यहाँ क्या होगा? Some cats are animals, right? And all cats are animals, could be true यहाँ क्या होगा? Some animals are dogs, right? I hope this is clear to everyone. Just go through it once. Quickly take a screenshot and go through it once. Now, let's just solve a few passages related to it. So this is the first one. Democratic participation has always been described as cornerstone of legitimate governance. Yet paradoxically, यानी कि there is a paradox, the more avenues citizens are given to express opinions, the less coherent public will appear. Coherent का मतलब coming on the same page, right? Having the similar opinion. To be, huh? So social media, referendums and other participatory tools have transformed governance into a constant dialogue between the state and the citizens. However मतलब अब कुछ हम opposite बात करने वाले हैं. This expansion of participation has also fragmented consensus. मतलब though we are giving a lot for the people to have their own opinions, but due to that they are getting fragmented, or the consensus that is required वो बहुत ज़्यादा fragmented है. Now, the notion of a common good has become elusive because citizens are now informed, influenced and polarized by competing sources of information. The state, designed to act upon unified public demand, now faces multiple and contradictory expectations. The fragmentation does not necessarily imply democratic decay. Instead, it might reflect the maturing of a pluralistic society where disagreement itself is a form of engagement. कि just because people are giving fragmented views, तो हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि democracy बिल्कुल टूट रही है या खराब हो रही है. Rather, we should understand it as people are more engaged in forming their opinions and giving their opinions. Yet the challenge lies in translating plural participation into coherent policy. But अब challenge तो वही है ना कि सबके views अलग है, तो इससे एक policy कैसे बनाए? Now, institutions built for deliberations now appear too slow to respond to real-time public sentiments. As a result, governance risks being reduced to management of public moods rather than execution of long-term vision. Some argue that the solution lies in strengthening representative institutions, allowing elected bodies to act as filters of public passion. Others insist that participatory technologies democratize governance by making it more transparent and responsive. What remains unresolved is whether democracy can sustain legitimacy when every citizen expects instant policy gratification. The balance between representation and participation, once stable, now seems under constant negotiation. So the entire passage is talking about this only, right? Now, let's just see the question which we need to solve. See, ये दो questions है. Which of the following must be true if the author's argument holds, right? So excessive public participation complicates policy coherence. More participation automatically strengthens democracy. Institutions are becoming more authoritarian and citizens prefer being passive rather than participatory. What should be the answer here? See, the answer, see यहाँ पे more participation automatically strengthens democracy, इसके बारे में तो बात नहीं हो रही है, right? This may or may not be true, right? Institutions are becoming more authoritarian, ये भी may or may not be true में fall कर रहा है. Citizens prefer being passive rather than participatory, ये तो बिल्कुल ही opposite हो गया. Hence this cannot be the answer. So the only answer that is left with us is excessive public participation complicates policy coherence. And इसके बारे में ऊपर भी बात हुई है कि it is very difficult to derive the policies when there are fragmented opinions, right? Now, next one, which of the following could be true? Could be true का मतलब कि यहाँ पे कुछ ना कुछ possibility होगी, right? Could be true according to the passage. Increased disagreement reflects democratic maturity. Polarization signifies failure of democratic values. देखो polarization का मतलब जहाँ पे people have only one view, तो इसका जरूरी मतलब ये तो नहीं है कि failure है democracy का, right? Then representative democracy has lost all legitimacy. इस चीज के बारे में तो हम बात नहीं कर रहे थे. Social media has eliminated traditional politics. इस बारे में भी बात नहीं हो रही है. So the only answer left with us is A. कि increased disagreement reflects democratic maturity. अब इसके लिए वो वाला जो पार्ट था, वो सेंटेंस था, that holds true here. See, this fragmentation does not necessarily imply democratic decay. Instead, it might reflect. Might का मतलब हो सकता है कि इससे हमें ये पता चले कि लोग कितने mature हो रहे हैं, right? So this is how that possibility was there, and hence the answer should be A. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now, moving ahead to the next passage. The rise of global environment consciousness has degenerated a curious paradox. While individuals express deep concern for planetary health, their consumption patterns remain largely unchanged. अब लोग बहुत ज़्यादा awareness दिखा रहे हैं regarding the environment, but उनके consumption patterns change नहीं हो रहे हैं. Governments too proclaim commitments to sustainability while approving industrial projects with high ecological costs. This inconsistency between awareness and action has led scholars to describe the phenomena as performative environmentalism. ठीक है, तो इन्होंने एक टर्म दिया उसको जिसका नाम था performative environmentalism. The rhetoric of sustainability provide moral satisfaction without demanding real sacrifice. At the heart of this dissonance का मतलब not in line or not in consonance, lies the modern conception of comfort and progress. Economic systems are structured around consumption as a measure of well-being. Now, asking societies to consume less for ecological balance seems to contradict the very definition of prosperity. कि एक तरफ हम लोग environment के बारे में बात करते हैं, दूसरी तरफ हमारा जो पूरा economy है that is based on gratification, right? The consumer well-being and the consumption of the consumers, right? So here asking societies to consume less, कि अगर हम societies को कह रहे हैं आप कम consume करो just to balance it with the environment seems to contradict the very definition of prosperity. कि इसकी वजह से जो definition है prosperity को prosperity की वो कहीं ना कहीं क्वेश्चन हो रही है. Now consequently environmentalism has been reduced to aesthetic gestures. ठीक है, reusable straws, symbolic recycling that coexist comfortably with the industrial expansion. वो चीज़ों में जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज और एंटर हो सकती है, जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्रीज को और ज़्यादा ग्रोथ मिल सकती है, वहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग environmentalism शो कर रहे हैं, right? Critics argue that genuine environmental ethics require reimagining prosperity itself. Unless growth is decoupled from consumption, environmental rhetoric will remain hollow. Yet such reimagination demands political courage and societal consensus, both of which are rare commodities in a world addicted to immediacy. Now, the question here is the questions which we have to cater to are these two. Right? So, which of the following must be true according to the passage? Consumption-based economies make genuine sustainability difficult. Governments have abandoned all environmental commitments. Citizens reject sustainability styles entirely. And industrial expansion is incompatible with any form of progress. What should be the answer here? The answer here is A. Why? Because governments have abandoned all environmental commitments. इस चीज के बारे में बात नहीं हो रही है. Secondly, citizens reject sustainable lifestyle. ये भी कहीं नहीं हो रही कि citizens बिल्कुल भी sustainable lifestyle follow ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. And lastly, industrial expansion is incompatible with any form of progress. अब ये any form of progress जो है ना, it makes it vague, right? Hence, this should not be the answer. Then, which of the following could be true? Right? Given the argument. Number one, environmental activism sometimes functions as a moral theater. Secondly, sometimes. अब sometimes से ना यहाँ पे possibility आ गई. Now, reusable products have no value whatsoever. Whatsoever से ये क्या हो गया? Absolute हो गया. Hence, it cannot be the answer. Then, economic growth must always. Must से क्या हो गया? ये must की category में fall हुआ and couldn't be an answer for could type of questions. Individual choices have no effect on ecology. No effect फिर दोबारा से बहुत strong answer है, इसलिए ये probability वाले question में use नहीं हो सकता. So, the only answer left with us is A. Right? I hope that is clear. Now, moving ahead to the next one. In the modern economy, data has replaced oil as the most valuable commodity. Every digital interaction, from online shopping to location tracking, produces property data, produces information that corporations harvest, analyze, and monetize. Yet, unlike traditional property, data is not depleted through use. It multiplies with every transaction. This power creating asymmetry between those who generate data and those who exploit it. Legal systems built around tangible property. Tangible is something which can be touched, which can be felt. Tangible property struggle to define ownership of intangible data. Does it belong to the individual whose behavior generates it, or to the corporation that processes it into predictive algorithms? Current legal frameworks tend to favor cooperations under the guise of consent, a term rendered meaninglessly by defense privacy policies and default settings. This imbalance has deeper political implications. When private entities hold more information about citizens than the governments do, question of accountability and sovereignty rises. Then, the challenge is not merely about protecting privacy, but about preserving autonomy in an age of algorithmic governance. Now, let us solve the questions. Which of the following must be true and the author's claim are correct? Existing laws inadequately address data ownership. ये तो बिल्कुल 100% बोला भी हुआ है passage में. So this goes with the passage. Secondly, individuals fully understand the implications of consent. ये तो कहीं पे भी नहीं लिखा हुआ. There is nothing to back this answer. Then government possesses more data than corporations. ये लिखा हुआ है. ये already directly given है, right? And this cannot be inferred from the passage. Data usage reduces its overall value. ये तो कहीं लिखा है, rather ये लिखा हुआ है कि data multiplies with transactions, right? Hence the answer is A. I hope that is clear. Then, which of the following could be true according to the passage? अब could be true का मतलब है possibility, right? The concept of consent in digital contracts is largely symbolic. Data accumulation strengthens individual autonomy. ये तो कहीं पे भी नहीं लिखा हुआ कि वो strengthen करता है individual autonomy को. Second, algorithmic governance enhances democratic accountability. इससे opposite बात करी थी. Then privacy policies empower users to negotiate better terms. ये भी नहीं कहा हुआ. So the only answer that is left with us is A. Right? I hope you have understood it. So these were the questions for us, and I hope you will be able to solve these questions. Now this passage is for you. Take a screenshot of this passage and try to answer the questions. This will be your homework, and I want you to complete your homework, please. The last two questions. Yeah, these two. Second and third one. Please make sure you complete the homework and write down your answers. And if you have any doubts, you can comment down in the comment section below. I will be clearing your doubts. So with this, I'll end the class here, and I shall see you guys in the next class. Bye-bye. Take care.